For the team. Thanks for joining us here on Nine's Wide World of Sports for the 1988 Goldpin Coca-Cola Classic. I'm your host, Chris Bombolas. Your commentators, once again, will be Steve Mackey and Terry Wenban. It's a men's round 10 match between 6th-seeded Ken Sheehan of Brisbane and 9th seed Gary Key of New South Wales.
And Gary Key coming into this match with 3 wins in a row, 204, 217, 197, an average of 206. He'd be really hoping to open up with a strike against a wily fox, Ken Sheehan.
As you can see there, Gary playing with his hand, knew he got out of it wrong. The result, not what he wanted.
How did he get out of it to make the ball do what it did here?
Well, he dropped his thumb down a bit early, rolled his hand, which caused his hand to roll over the top. As you can see there, it just rolls around. He knows it's going left and he just hopes he doesn't let it split.
So I must say it was a good result from that shot. And a spare to open up for Gary Key.
His opponent, of course, is Ken Sheehan from Queensland. And Ken is the general manager of North State 10-pin bowling. He's won a host of tournaments, including the Australian doubles in 1985.
This would be quite an interesting match. You know, Ken being 53 years of age, he was in the first FIQ team to represent Australia in Milwaukee in 1971. Been around a long time, as you can see him there, just playing in the lane, waiting for it to happen.
And he's a member of the Australian 10-pin Bowling Congress Hall of Fame. So he's certainly got plenty of experience, and showing that experience there by putting the ball in the perfect spot to spare that nasty little cluster of 3, the spare called the bucket, and a good shot by Ken Sheehan to open up.
Yes, Ken knows it's a tough spare, and he's quite happy to make that. All right, that's what he wanted.
I'll tell you something, Terry, that's about the first ball I've seen that's carried the pins like that off a light hit on lane 3.
You're right, actually. He got the ball out, and the pins have come across the lane to carry the 457. Here he goes. You'll see. He gets it out. Plays the same as Jeanette did. It's a good result.
Gary Key, of course, the 1988. He's had 3 consecutive Grand Prix events. Southgate, Hornsby and Bennett's Green.
As usual, a great shot from Gary in reply. This has started off a good match. The first frame, not that important, but the second one is. See here, gets the ball down the lane. Looks great. Straight on the top.
Yes, that pin jumping all over the 7-pin. We'll see something hit it. 2-pin. Put it into the gutter in the place it belongs, according to Gary Key and his single-mindedness. And it's all square after the first frame. 20 apiece, both with strikes working. Gary up for the top of the 3rd.
Yes, as you can see with Gary, he takes deep breaths before he can play, settles himself down, tries to get rid of the nerves, then sets about the task ahead. He knew that was a good shot. That was exactly the way he wanted to get his hand. Again over the top of the ball, but lunged a little bit further down.
Yes, and what a wry smile on the face of Gary Key when he threw this. This one he could feel when he picked the ball up. What a good shot. Oh, beautiful ball. Arguably the best strike we've seen in the series so far.
And a great strike from Ken.
I tell you what, that wasn't far behind in brilliance either. That was a good hit as well by Ken Sheehan. What great experience by Ken.
Look at that one again. And just the right spot. Cleanly straight into it. And 3 frames down at the moment here in the 1988 Goldpin Coca-Cola Classic, a men's 10th round. We see Gary Sheehan from Queensland. He's keeping the maroon hopes alive. And he's right in it at the moment. There's nothing in it at the end of the 3rd frame. Ken Sheehan now coming off 2 strikes. So he's looking for 3 in a row. And the Queenslanders right behind him at the moment.
Another great shot. He actually bowled a different type of roll than anybody else we've seen so far. A full roller, and it's really producing the goods here on these lanes.
Yes, and I tell you what, you wouldn't want to be bowling this bloke for the last dollar in your pocket, because he'd take it out of you, wouldn't he? 3 great hits by Ken Sheehan.
Ken would do anything to win. I like him.
Pretty agile for 53 too.
Well, all I can say is I hope I'm that fit. Look at that, gives it heaps. Gary settling himself.
Playing his own game as usual, needs a strike to stay square.
There's that shot again. Knew he pulled it left. Knew it was going to cross. Again, not happy with it, but as you can see the smile on Gary's face there, he's at the moment he'll take anything he can get to win this match.
Yes, that's the 3rd time we've seen him cross over, but a man who's had plenty of strikes. He's had 8 strikes, 6 strikes and 6 strikes in his 3 matches so far, and he's had plenty of spares as well.
Interesting to note there, Steve, that both players in this match are using the same glove, except Ken's has got full fingers in it and Gary's only got half.
Looking for a 4th strike. Oh, look at that pin. And we'll have another look at that. That was a great hit by Gary Key. Gave it plenty of air. Boy, did he give that some.
He needs to give lane 3 a bit more, because it's a touch on the dry side, the 5 pin not carrying the 7. A lot of players seem to feel that shot's very spectacular, but under the pressure you do not really want to throw it, because you can always leave that 7. You want to go flush into the pocket and put 10 straight in the pit. Reliable spare. Game's still all square, but Ken's got the string of strikes up.
And on the way back to the seat then, Ken Sheehan got up. Gary Key looked straight in his eyes. I wonder if Ken was looking at him.
I think if Ken was looking at him, he'd be saying, "You're a bit young, aren't you, fella?"
Yes, anything you can do, I can do better. And all he hopes now is that it'll be just 1 pin better. It will give him 4 strikes.
A great shot. As I said before, the roll that Ken's putting on the ball is more conducive to this condition here than anybody else's.
We might just explain to the viewers too what the difference is between the sort of balls we've seen rolled and what Ken is doing, a full roller.
All the other players have got 3/4 rolls where the track's outside of the fingers, and Ken's track rolls between the thumb and the fingers. He's not using finger grips, puts the ball down a little earlier, and the ball actually rolls more. It's more of a heavy rolling ball. Now you can see he lost that one. Wasn't happy. Something went wrong.
Well, I think he might have rushed the foul line. He had that fairly fortunate 4th strike, and he got up there fairly quickly, dropped it out a little bit early. The ball never really had a chance to come up to the head pin, and I tell you, that pin moving at the back's possibly going to cause him a little bit of trouble, because he has moved it off spot.
You can see him pointing this off to something in the right. The safe spare. With the type of roll that Ken throws, the ball isn't going to jump in the back end like everybody else's has. He can actually miss a little and still get away with it.
Well, he covered that spare in the right place, because that pin at the back, you'll see it go last, was in a different place to where it normally stands. We'll take another look at it now. See you that you had the spare.
He's very confident on the spares, where everybody else has not been so. But here's Gary.
Gary needs a strike to be 8 pins behind, and the first time he's been in arrears in any of these matches.
A great shot. Now he knows he's coming over to lane 3. What's he going to do?
Boy, I tell you, that could have been a 5-bagger there, because that 7-pin certainly deserved to go. But what a great comeback by Gary Key, right in the hole. And he knew it. Big backswing to get a little bit more speed on the ball. Pulls the string, and another strike in the 6th.
So 5 frames completed, and Gary Key trails Ken Sheehan by 8 pins. coming off a strike. Trailing by 8 pins, so vital he scores here.
Yes, and regaining composure. Trying to gee himself up for a big shot here to take the lead.
There it is again, the corner pin. As we've said before, you can do everything right and not get the result.
Perhaps a 10 pin, cause of being a little bit too anxious to get rid of the ball. He threw it well out in the lane, and the pin jumped around it. Sometimes pressure makes your backswing go just that little bit higher, and you don't wait for the ball. You drag it through rather than waiting.
Yeah, I don't think he caught enough of the ball as he wanted to. Threw it a little bit quick.
Oh, look at that for a spare under pressure.
That's a good spare. Actually, this is the first time Gary's really played anybody that's looked dangerous. He's behind. And as you saw with that first shot ringing the 10 pin, that's the first taste of, the first sign of nerves that he's shown in the match.
Ken Sheehan now. One of the local hopes. What can he do in reply? He's coming off a spare.
Well, 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 Ken Sheehan. Shut my mouth. What a shot. He won't be happy with that. He'll be happy with the result when he looks up at the scoreboard here, the AMF AccuScore machine, but he won't be happy with the way it went. He's having a look at it now on the replay, right on the nose.
Yes, as you'll see here, Steve, it's this roll on the ball. He can put it down short, it doesn't run away like everybody else's, and it gets good reaction on this lane surface.
Well, we're seeing a great match here between these two. Chris, this is easily the best match of the series so far. We've had some pretty close encounters of the bowling kind, but this is a great shot by Ken Sheehan, looking for a double, trying to capitalise on that lucky hit in the last frame. Didn't work for him. Humbling experience, 10-pin bowling, and he's just been brought back to square one.
Yeah, Steve, with them both starting to leave 10 pins on lane 3, Gary needs a double to get up. Ken all really just needs to stay clean. But Gary needs the double. Well, maybe they're both starting to pressure each other. They both know that the match is coming to an end and they want to put it away.
That's right, 8 pins the difference. And in between shots there, Gary Key we saw working vigorously on his ball. I didn't quite know what he was doing with it, but he's made some sort of adjustment, and he'd be hoping to put this one right in the hole in the 8th frame.
Yes, Steve, he was working on his ball. I can only think that after that 10 pin that he left on lane 3 and the ball going down a bit quicker, he's probably adjusted the tape in his ball. Now, a little dangerous thing to do because he's got lane 4 wired, and he adjusts his tape on the ball, maybe loosened it a little so that he get more ball on it, and he's pulled the ball now. So maybe the thumb slipped a little in the backswing, and he's just tried to grip the ball and he's pulled it. Oh, very fast shot. That was a quick ball for Gary. He's usually a lot more deliberate.
Right, 9 pins the difference now, 158 for Gary Key.
Well, he adjusted the tape in his thumb. He's, I think, lost it a little here. He wanted to strike there because he knew he was finishing on lane 4. If he could get lane 3, he could capitalise on it, punch out. But he didn't get it. I wouldn't think he'd be terribly pleased with leaving this. These two on the right-hand side.
Danger. No, covered it. Could have run into the front pin there and chopped it off, but he's a bit annoyed with himself. 2 shots and neither of them anywhere near where he's been hitting earlier on. 176 in the 8th frame. Ken Sheehan needs a strike to take that 9-pin lead with him into the 10th frame. Just checking the scores very carefully as Ken Sheehan, a man who's been there and done that for many, many years up here in Queensland, would like to do it right now.
Well, Ken won't be happy with this. He knows it's a difficult spare. This is going to be important.
Also, it's lost him 1 pin in the lead. He's only 8 pins ahead now, courtesy of that 7 count. After a spare, spares count 10 plus the next one shot, and there's the 3 pins that he left standing. Lucky to get rid of that back pin too. Needs the spare to keep the lead. Oh dear. Only just got that 4 pin out. That was unusual.
It was unusual. That shouldn't have fallen like that at all.
Let's have a look at that 4 pin. That looked like it was going to go for a million years and ended up just falling sideways.
So 9 frames down here in the Goldpin Coca-Cola Classic. Ken Sheehan is in front by 8 pins. Big finish coming up here to this match. It's round 10 between Ken Sheehan and Gary Key.
Yeah, Ken Sheehan had the choice to finish on what lane he wanted to, and he's chosen to finish on lane 3.
Well, that was a nervous shot by Ken Sheehan. He lost control of that ball. Must have felt like a lead weight on the end of his thumb there. You can see the ball, tendency always to pull it left on a key shot, and he did just that, and he's left a real tough split in the 10th frame. Real tough.
Yes, Steve, if he manages to convert this, he's going to feel he just struck out.
Oh, great conversion. Boy, oh boy. That's as good a spare as we've ever seen in the series so far. Wow. Oh, and Ken Sheehan going over there for a silent moment with himself to collect his thoughts.
Have a look at that one again. Look at the pressure on this. This was absolutely perfect.
He has just touched it. Almost put them right between the middle.
Okay, a strike for Ken Sheehan now gives him a score of 222 and makes Gary Key get a double.
Yeah, good shot to finish. Not all that important because whatever he threw, Gary still had to get a double. There's Gary with his head down thinking, I've got to do it right now. He's on lane 4. He should be thinking that he has a good shot. So this is going to be critical now.
And Ken Sheehan just adding a little bit of pressure to Gary Key by riding the strike. He would be hoping then that Gary was watching him do that. Gary Key now in a world of his own. He's got to do it. It's all in front of him. Needs a turkey for 226, a double 7 to win the match.
Again, the tendency for a lot of these top players is if you need a strike, you're going to give the ball heaps. You're just going to get the ball out on the lane. You're going to put your whole hand in it and try and give it as much as you can. But unfortunately, today in the tournament, it just didn't do the job. He came up weeks. He left a weak 10. Pin not knocking it over. Immaterial now.
Yes, but what a great performance by Gary Key, Australia's greatest shot maker. And 4 scores in our televised games of 204, 217, 197, and he will bow out of the tournament with a 215 if he gets a strike, and that'll be an average of 208 for the 4 matches. Tremendous stuff and making Capalaba look just a little bit easier. Finishes with a score of 211, losing the match by 11 pins to the veteran Queenslander, the wily Ken Sheehan from Clayfield Bowl.
There he is, Ken Sheehan. He's the winner. The loser, of course, is Gary Key. His streak of 3 in a row is broken. He picks up $600, compliments of Coca-Cola. Ken Sheehan, though, moves on to play Victorian Ian Bradford, the 5th seed, and that's coming up next in the 1988 Goldpin Coca-Cola.